Hello there. Good to see you. I'm watching a bird of prey in the sky. Do you know any birds of prey? The one up there is a buzzard. It flies over the field and tries to spot little animals so they can go down and pick up. We have to be careful because of our chickens. We have to put a roof over the top of the coop so that it doesn't fly over here and pick up any of our chickens. Do you know any stories about birds of prey? I do. I know a really good story. It's about a vulture who lived in Africa. His name was Victor the Vulture. Victor was a vulture, but Victor didn't want to be a vulture anymore. In fact, being a vulture made Victor feel really sad. "I've got no friends," he said. "Nobody wants to be around me. I smell. I'm dirty. I'm covered in blood and nobody wants to be around me." "I know," he said. "I'm going to stop being a vulture. I'm going to become an animal that's so popular. I'm going to become a bird that everyone loves. I'm going to become a flamingo." So Victor decided from that day on, he would be a flamingo. "The first thing I have to do," he said, "is I have to look like a flamingo." So off he went to the shop and bought himself some pink paint, and he got himself a brush and he covered himself from head to toe in pink paint. "Now I'm a flamingo because I look like a flamingo." The next day, Victor saw some flamingos down by the water. So he flew down to see them. But as he was flying down, all the flamingos suddenly flew away. "Oh no," said Victor. "I know what the problem is. I don't smell like a flamingo. They could smell me coming and they all flew away because they were so scared. I'll need to smell like a flamingo." So off he went to the shop and bought himself some flamingo perfume. He sprayed himself with this lovely perfume and soon he smelt like a flamingo. The next day, Victor flew down to where the flamingos were again. This time he landed, but as he landed, all the flamingos flew away. "Oh no," said Victor, "I know what it is. It's because I don't fly like a flamingo, and when I stood on the ground, I stood with two legs. Flamingos only use one leg to stand. I'm going to have to start doing the things that flamingos do." So off he went, and for the next few days, Victor practiced flying lovely and beautifully like a flamingo, and he practiced standing on one leg. Soon, he could do the things that flamingos could do. A few days later, he decided that he would fly down to where all the flamingos were. This time, he flew like a flamingo, and he landed on one leg like a flamingo, and none of the other flamingos flew away. He turned to one of the flamingos standing next to him and he said, "It's a lovely day, isn't it?" And all the flamingos flew away. "Oh no," he said, "I don't speak like a flamingo. I've got to learn to speak like flamingos speak." So off he went again and he practiced speaking beautifully and politely like flamingos would speak. A week later, he flew to where all the flamingos were again. This time, he looked like a flamingo. He smelt like a flamingo. He could do the things that flamingos could do. And now he could speak like a flamingo. He landed on the ground and he spoke to all the flamingos. And they all accepted him. He had become a flamingo. That day, Victor was flying with all the other flamingos across the sky when all of a sudden, down below him, he could see a dead animal on the ground. Without thinking, he immediately flew down as quickly as he could. He landed on top of the creature, and with his talons, his sharp claws, he started to rip the animal apart. He stuck his beak into the flesh, and his beak was covered in blood. It was disgusting. All the flamingos shrieked in terror, and they all flew away. "Oh no," said Victor, "all my friends are gone." There was a very wise bird who was sitting on a branch of the tree, watching everything that had happened. This wise bird turned to Victor and said, "Victor, you have the nature of a vulture, and you will always be a vulture. You can try to smell the way that flamingos smell. You can try to look the way that flamingos look. You can try to behave the way that flamingos behave. You can even try to speak the way that flamingos speak. But you have the nature of a vulture, and you will always be a vulture." "Oh no," said Victor, "there must be some way that I can become a flamingo." And the wise bird said, "There is only one way that you could become a flamingo, and that is if you were born a flamingo." So Victor thought he could become a flamingo. How silly was he? And yet people think that they can become a Christian by doing the things that Christians do, by going to church, by praying, by being kind to people. Or they believe that they can become a Christian by looking like a Christian, by carrying a Bible under their arm, by putting their hands together and closing their eyes when they pray. Or they believe that they can become a Christian by speaking like a Christian, by not swearing or using bad language, by learning Bible verses off by heart and then being able to say them out loud. But Jesus actually said that none of this will make us a Christian. He actually told a religious man one day, a man by the name of Nicodemus, who came in secret at night to see Jesus. He told him that there was only one way to become part of God's kingdom. There was only one way to become a follower of Jesus, and that was to be born again. Now this really confused Nicodemus. To be born again? I'm an old man. Do you expect me to go back inside my mummy's tummy and to be born a second time? But you see, that's not what Jesus meant. You see, humans can only give birth to humans. But the Holy Spirit can give new life from heaven. That's the kind of new birth that Jesus was talking about. So what about you? Are you still a bit like Victor here? Pretending? Hoping that by doing certain things that will make you a Christian? Or have you come to that point where you realise that the only way to become part of God's family is to have that new birth, that new life that comes from the Holy Spirit? Why not talk about it with Jesus today? After all, it is him who tells you that you must be born again. Thank you for listening, and God bless you.